Alright troops, strong and conditioned, live and direct from the Burpee Den. Alright troops, one of the questions that I regularly get alludes to a post I made round about the January, February, March period, and it was a post speaking about how I had started to do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And a lot of guys come in and they always ask, how's the BJJ going, how's the Jiu-Jitsu going, things like that. And I never really answer them because I'm going to tell you, I've always been planning to make a video on this. And what I talk about is going to segue into something else, something a bit hippie, out there in true strong and conditioned fashion. Anyway, guys, I'm rambling as I usually do. At the start of the year, I was going through a major crisis in my life. There was things happening and I had to take my mind off things. Now, when such a crisis arises in a man's life, what tends to happen is guys go to the gym. They go to the gym to take their mind off things. However, to me that wasn't a good approach, and I'll tell you why. It wasn't a good approach because I've been going to the gym for years. And I've been doing weights for years. And to me, to go into that environment with what was going around me or what was going on in my life at that point in time, my brain would have still been in a certain place. My mind would have been in a certain place because I would have been performing like manual movements, basic movements, doing things that I can subconsciously carry out. Like I could do the weights in my sleep, basically. I can do burpees in my sleep. But I'd never done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And the reason I decided to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at that point was because I needed something to occupy my mind as well as my body at the same time. I know that BJJ is a very intricate sport. It's a very intricate martial art, and I found that out during my experience. And what happened was I just needed something to kind of lay down new synapses, neurons or something in my brain and take my mind off things. So I was learning something at the same time while getting a good workout. And I was advised to take up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu by an old personal training client of mine, Alan. So shout out to Alan, good friend of mine. Alan was always in my case, get in the BJJ league, get in the BJJ. Now, what was my experience like with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Well, number one, it was short-lived, and I'll get into why it was short-lived. But I loved it. I'm not going to lie. I found it absolutely fascinating. I found it quite intimidating. You forget how intimidating martial arts are in the sense that the hardest part of the martial art is starting. Now, I tell people get to the gym. Just get into the gym, start moving. But the gym's a different kettle of fish. The gym's like something that you go into a big centre, there's people round about you, you kind of get lost. Whereas Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or other martial arts, they're really intimate affairs because you're up and close and personal with people. So you're having to work with someone straight away. That can be quite daunting for people. It's daunting for me. I mean, I know I might come across quite extroverted on YouTube and so forth, but I can be quite shy at times. There can be a degree of anxiety in there sometimes in a social setting, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Thai boxing, anything, that throws you right into the deep end. You're going to have to go into a class usually full of men, women that you don't know. They're good at what they do and you're just having to go in there. And that can be daunting for people, and it's daunting for me. So that's the hardest part of getting started with a martial art or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I found out. However, when I started, it was brilliant. And it was also helped along by the fact that the dojo, or the I don't know what they call it in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu terms, that's something I've started to pick up. But where they do their rolling, their practicing, their classes. I'm starting to drift off and I'm starting to forget what I was talking about. The one that I went to was a place in Rutherglen, Glasgow. It was called Ronin Grappling. Great. I would advise anybody from Glasgow who's watching this to go to Ronin Grappling. The guys who run it are fantastic. The teaching is spot on. It's just a really good class, man. You're made to feel very welcome from the offset. The guy who runs it, Giles, he's a great guy. He's a very, very nice guy. Very, very principled character. I liked him a lot. Anyway, that class is amazing. Amazing. Get your ass down there from Glasgow. So I loved it. It was tough, man. It was tough trying to learn these moves, the basic moves. It's frustrating for a guy like me who's very impatient as well, who wants to learn things fast, who wants to learn things from the get-go, who wants to get good at things straight away. I knew it was going to be a long journey. Man. However, I threw myself, the pitfall for me was with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and for a guy in my age, I threw myself into it. I was probably going to about 4 or 5 classes from the offset, probably 6, but I was trying to go daily because it was helping in more ways than one. And what happened was it was the DOMs, BJJ, they're no DOMs, man. It's joint pain. Like I was in pain. Like parts of my body, my joints, they were fried. But it was a psychotic style of DOMs. It's funny. Anyway, loved it, but I get injured badly. For me, anyway. What happened was I don't know what actually happened or where it happened, but I tore an intercostal muscle. I tore intercostal muscles round about this region, and it was agonising. Breathing was difficult, moving in certain directions was difficult, pulling things was difficult, and I tried to go through it, but I've got that stupid, you know what I'm like. I've got that stupid Scottish mentality that even though I'm injured, I'll still train because I'm trying to like calm the voices down in my head and just maintain routine. And what happened was I rolled with a guy and I just felt a searing. The pain was worse. It was worse. So I had to quit. That was it. And while I was trying to heal, I could do certain things in the gym. And what happened was I started getting into the bodybuilding weight, so it kind of took my eye off the ball. So that was my experience with BJJ. It was very short-lived. However, it kind of made me think the question, where do we end up when we train? We always have to end up in some place where we settle down with a training style and it's something that kind of suits the age we're at, which may be a controversial statement in some respects, but it's just something that we can easily fit into our lifestyles and something that feels completely natural. And it's something that I've been given a bit of thought about because I'm 46, I'll be 47 next year, so I'll be hitting the 50 mark in a few years. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, where am I taking this? Now, I've clearly got training ADHD or something. I find it hard to stick to a programme for a certain amount of time. There's only 2 programmes which I really stuck to weights-wise. The first one was 531 and the second one was that FAS lifts split. Only 2 weights programmes I've really stuck to for a long length of time. And there's got to be something that I settle down with. And for me, I genuinely feel that bodyweight training coupled with running is probably the most natural form, stress-free style of training available to us. I don't know, man. There's just something in my head about just being able to master your bodyweight at an older age. Just being able to go out for a run, not being constricted with the chains of fitness and how it can be overwhelming and so integral to your routine that you can start to stress out about. That's my big issue with the fitness game is routine is great, but at the same time it's a hindrance for me on a stress level. And at my age, it's all about just trying to get as much stress out your life as possible, just trying to mitigate all forms of stress. That to me is the end game. But fitness wise, it's just a calisthenics approach: burpees, chin-ups, squats, press-ups, lunges, iron will CVP routines, running. That's it. That is the au natural style of training. That's what it's ending. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or some other martial art. I'll probably go back to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm intending to. And the reason I actually made this video was because I have done the same injury on the other side recently. So I've got the same thing. I'm finding it difficult to breathe. It's actually stopping me from doing burpees at this moment in time, but that's another video that's coming up. But I've tore again the muscle in here and it's causing me a lot of grief, but I'm still training through it because I'm absolutely mental and I've got issues when it comes to training. Anyway, guys, just some insight into my experiences with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If you have experienced any Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at any point and you have any advice that you want to throw my way, fire it in the old comments. Also, another one to fire in is, where is your training? Where is your training ending up? What's the end game, guys? What's the retirement home for training? Anyway, guys, I like these fireside chats. It might be a new thing. Thanks for staying strong and thanks for staying conditioned.